Hello everyone and welcome back to our CA Final Indirect Taxes batch SAFAL Day 2. So yesterday we did nothing as such because the only chapter that we completed is not applicable for examination. However, that was extremely important for you all to build a base and get an idea about what exactly the subject is, what to expect out of subject, what is the paper pattern, how are things tested in examination. So what we studied was simply an introduction of GST. An introduction of GST which was broken in three parts. One, we saw some basic intro like GST was implemented in 2017. The idea was mooted first in 2000, but then it took us whole 17 years to implement GST. What is the concept on which GST is based? It is a value added tax. There is no cascading of taxes. The entire final burden is borne by the consumer. We give continuous chain of tax credit, etc., etc. Then we saw some miscellaneous things like GST Suvidha Provider, Application Suvidha Provider, Compensation Says, which is the common portal where we log in to solve all the issues relating to GST, to file returns, to file refund application, to make make appeals. Everything is on www.gst.gov.in. We have one portal for e-invoice and one portal for e-waybill. And the last part was constitutional provisions. The last part was constitutional provisions, where we simply saw that what was the need to amend the constitution. If we had not amended the constitution, then Article 246 7th schedule would automatically make GST fall under list 1, which is union list, because list 1 had a residual entry that any tax which is not covered in state list or concurrent list will automatically be covered by union list. But we wanted GST to be a dual model where center as well as state can simultaneously levy and collect GST. Therefore, we made amendment in constitution and introduced article 246A, which says that center as well as state has simultaneous powers to make laws with respect to GST. However, anything relating to interstate supply, place of supply, will be compulsorily dealt by parliament only. Right, ma'am? There were three things which I made you learn. First was states and union territories under GST. Quickly tell me, how many states are there according to GST? How many states are there according to GST? Ma'am, 28 geographical states and plus 3 union territories which have their own legislature. Delhi, Jammu Kashmir and Puducherry. Delhi, Jammu Kashmir and Puducherry, 3 union territories which have their own legislature, which equates to a total of 31 states under GST. And we have 5 union territories without legislature, which are known as union territories under GST, which is all CD. Why is the screen appearing small? Just a second. What happened? Just give me a second. I don't know why this black portion is showing. Otherwise, we every time see the entire screen. I don't know. Chalo, I guess this is also fine, no problem. Chalo. So all CD are the 5 union territories without a legislature, which is Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh, Dadra Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, and plus any other territory like exclusive economic zone will also be considered as union territory under GST. Right, ma'am. Then the second thing that we learnt was 11 special category states under GST. Quickly tell me which are the 11 special category states under GST. Everyone, chalo. 11 special category states, ma'am. No asthma. No asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. No for Nagaland. No for Nagaland. Then A for Assam, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh. M for Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. M for Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. A for Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. These are the 11 special category states under GST. Then, third thing that we learnt was taxes subsumed under GST and taxes not subsumed under GST. Chalo, every single student will quickly give me answer. Which are the taxes applicable on alcoholic liquor for human consumption? Then high-speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude. tobacco and narcotics. The entertainment taxes levied by local body, power still remains with the local body, and for real estate sector we levy stamp duty, property taxes and not GST. Chalo quickly 1, 2, 3, 4 करके give me answer. For alcoholic liquor for human consumption, intoxicating things which keep us high, there is state excise duty. So alcohol and narcotics, these things keep us high. Nashe wali cheeze, intoxicating things, therefore here we will levy state excise for narcotics and alcoholic liquor, and other two things there would be central excise. And plus, there are only two things which are currently outside the purview of GST. One is alcohol and other is MAP, which means VAT for intrastate supply and CST for interstate supply. However, GST is applicable on tobacco as well as narcotics. It is just that the excise is not yet discontinued. Everyone, is this clear to all of us? Yes. And so, we take only 5 minutes and revise everything that we completed in yesterday's session of 2 hours. Done. Chalo. Now today starting with the core areas, the chapter which is actually tested in examination. This is really very irritating. Why is the screen not showing? Just give me a second. I'll just disconnect the video and rejoin once. Hai na? Chalo. So now finally starting with the chapter supply under GST. Now before starting supply, I'll teach you some important terms which as such in module are given under the chapter of supply only. Plus there are 2-3 extra terms that I've added here only which are not in supply chapter but in some other chapter in the module. But for us to begin with any core chapter, we first need to know the meaning of these basic terms. Only then it makes sense for us to move further. Okay. First of all, the most important term. The most important term here is supply. Why, ma'am, supply word is so important? Because supply is taxable event under GST. Supply is taxable event under GST. Ma'am, what do we mean by the term taxable event? Anyone? What do we mean by the term taxable event? See, taxable event simply means anything or any event, the happening of which triggers the levy of tax. Let's say if I earn income, only then I am required to pay income tax. If I make imports, only then I am required to pay import duty. Similarly, which is the activity that I do leads to the trigger of GST. So this taxable event under GST is supply. Now supply is a very comprehensive broad term. Supply includes sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, lease, disposal, everything forms part of supply only. So first of all, what is taxable event? Any event, the happening of which triggers levy of tax is a taxable event. Now any taxation regime has its own taxable event, like import and export is the taxable event for custom duty. Income is the taxable event for income tax. Similarly, supply is the taxable event of GST. You have to do supply. Only then GST will be applicable on you. But ma'am, very important question, supply of what? Supply of what? The answer lies in question itself. We are studying GST, goods and services tax, which obviously means that if I supply goods or services, only then GST will be applicable. So I have to do supply. I have to do supply for GST to apply on me. But supply of what, ma'am? Supply of goods or services, if I do, only then this kind of tax is levied on us. So the entire name now makes sense. Goods and services tax. A tax which is essentially levied on supply of goods or services is known as goods or services tax. Right, ma'am. Who does a supply? A person. Ma'am, what do we mean by the term person? Only Riddhi or Shubham or Shivani is a person here? The answer is no. It is not just only individuals are considered as persons under taxation regime. Every individual, cooperative society, company, body corporate, partnership firm or LLPs, HUF or local authorities, all of these are considered as person only. So if I say we are, let's say, talking about a registered person, doesn't mean we are only talking about an individual who is registered. This person could be an individual or an HUF, a company, firm, LLP or a body of associates or any corporation, body corporate, cooperative society, trust, artificial juridical person, society, central government, local authority, AOP, BOI, all of these are considered as person only. So it is not like only individual is a person, but all of these people are person under GST. Now, if this person does a taxable event which is a supply of what? Goods or service, then GST is triggered and levied on that transaction. Okay, ma'am. So we understand that something has to be goods or service, only then GST can be levied. Then ma'am, what is the definition of goods? What do you mean by the term goods? Is this mobile a good? Is this crunchy a good? What is goods under GST? Very simple definition that you all have to learn along with me. Not just understand, but remembering the definition of goods and services is extremely important, because many times you will have to apply in MCQs or for some small questions to identify whether that thing is a goods or service or not. Because if it is not a goods or service, then the question of GST being levied on it cannot arise, only because supply of goods or services is the predominant activity that has to happen. Only then GST can be levied. Okay, ma'am. So what do we understand by the term goods? The definition of goods can be broken down into three parts. We say goods means other than but includes. Goods means other than but includes. This is the structure of definition. We say goods means every kind of movable property. Goods means every kind of movable property. What do we understand by the term movable property? All the tangible things which are not fixed or attached, which can be moved. So is this remote a movable property? Yes. Is this pen a movable property? Yes. So everything that you can see which is tangible and can be moved is a movable property, and everything that is a movable property automatically becomes goods. Right, ma'am. So here, answer, is land a good here? Can building be considered as a good? Tell me, can land be considered as a good? Can building be considered as a good? No, ma'am. Why? Because land and building are immovable. They are not movable, therefore they cannot be considered as goods. Right, ma'am. Very much clear. Okay. So very simple. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money or security. Other than money or security, which means money or security can be movable, but they will never be considered as goods. These two things might be movable, but still they will never be considered as goods, and GST cannot be levied on them. Ma'am, what do we understand by the term money? What is money? Indian legal tender means Indian national rupee. INR is a money. Even foreign currency, even forex is money for us, or let's say promissory notes, bill of exchange. Basically any instrument that RBI recognizes as a good mode of transaction can be considered as money. So any instrument that is recognized by RBI which is fit for us to undertake transactions, all of those things are considered as money only under GST. So today, let's say Riddhi comes to me and Riddhi says, ma'am, I need 100 rupees. I give her 100 rupees. Will GST be charged on this? No, because this is a simple mere transaction of money, and money does not involve goods, and therefore GST cannot be levied on it. Same is the case with security. Ma'am, security means exactly the same that you're thinking. Shares, bonds, stock, debentures, or any right in government securities, all of these things are considered as securities only. So let's say today I purchase a Reliance Industries Limited share. Will GST be applicable on it? The answer is no. Purely dealing in sale purchase of any share, stock, bond, debenture, any kind of security will not attract GST. But ma'am, we have seen GST. The GST is not levied on the sale or purchase of securities. GST can be levied on the commission charges, on the brokerage charges that the intermediary person charges to arrange the transaction under security. See, understand, money is not goods, security is not goods. But if you facilitate the use of money or security, that can be considered as a service, and we will study a separate definition of service and then discuss this thing later. So for now, what we understand? For now, we understand that every kind of movable property is goods. But money and security cannot be considered as goods even though they could be movable. But includes says there are two things which might not be movable, but still we will consider them as goods. Normally, every movable property is goods. Money and security could be movable, but we will not consider them as goods. And there are two other things which are not movable, but still we will consider them as goods. One is actionable claims. What is actionable claims, ma'am? Lottery, betting, gambling, your claim to any unsecured debt, which means the happening might be contingent, might be conditional, but if it happens, you can go to a court and you can file a claim against it. It is known as actionable claim. A kind of claim which might not be certain, but if it happens, you can go to court and take an action, is known as actionable claim. See, today if I have given someone a loan and it is a secured debt, which means I have some kind of a mortgage, some kind of security underlying, then it is not an actionable claim. But a pure open advance deposit loan given to someone without any mortgage, without any security, unsecured debt ka claim, that can be considered as an actionable claim, because if it will happen or not happen, I don't know, it is contingent. But if it happens, I can go to a civil court will recognize it and I can file an action against it. Similarly, lottery, betting, gambling, online gaming, horse racing, casino, all of these things are actionable claims. They are not movable, but still they will be considered as goods under GST. And second is crops or grass or basically anything that is attached to land, or forming part of land, which is today agreed to be severed under a contract of supply. So let's say this is a land. And crops are growing on it. So currently the crops are attached to land, which means they are immovable. Being immovable, they cannot fall under the definition of goods, but particularly under the part of but includes, we say that if the farmer or if any person has agreed that I am going to cut these crops, I am going to sever these crops and supply them to you, then these growing crops or grass or anything that is attached to land can be considered as goods today only, even though today they are immovable, but we have agreed to sever them from the land, make them movable and then supply further, then today only these will be considered as goods. Does it make sense to all of you? Quickly tell me. See, it is extremely important for you all to remember the definition of goods and services along with me here only. If you are supposed to write this in examination, how you will write? You will write goods means every kind of movable property. Goods means every kind of movable property, comma, other than money and security, comma, but includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass or anything attached to land or forming part of land which is agreed to be severed under the contract of supply. Agreed to be severed under the contract of supply is known as goods. So the definition of goods that I taught you in the form of a chart, same to same definition without any language difference. You will simply put comma in between, make it in a form of paragraph and produce it, and that is your exact same definition of goods that is given under the bare act of GST. We will quickly go to notes once and understand everything. See, Section 2, Clause 52 of CGST Act. See, unless I otherwise mention in the entire lectures, whatever section number I have mentioned is compulsorily of CGST Act only. SGST Act is not applicable because we have 31 states and we cannot study SGST Act of every single state. Basically, they are all similar to CGST Act only. So, SGST is not applicable. So, every section number that I say will automatically be of CGST Act only. There are a total of 7 or 8 sections of IGST Act that we have to study. So, wherever any particular section I am teaching of IGST Act, I will mention that this is IGST Act section. Otherwise, if I do not mention anything, you have to automatically understand that it is a section of CGST Act only. Because just once the happening of it is sure, you have something underlying. Okay, chalo. So goods means every kind of movable property. Now everyone here, full attention, you have to learn this along with me. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security, but includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass and things attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under a contract of supply. All of these things are known as goods under GST. Are you confident? Do you feel like, yes ma'am, we are at least able to remember 80% of the definition with you only? Chalo. Goods means, once again last time, goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security, but includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass, land, anything that is attached to or forming part of land which is agreed to be severed before supply or under a contract of supply. Now one by one we see what is money, what is security, what is actionable claim. Chalo. Money simple means Indian legal tender, which is INR. Foreign currency, check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, draft, pay order, basically any other instrument also which is recognized by RBI as a medium of exchange, as a medium of transaction. Now this last point, but does not include currency held for its numismatic value. Does not include currency held for its numismatic value. What do we understand by this term here? See, let's say I make a collection of 10 rupee notes. I make a collection of, let's say, 1 rupee notes, which have become very rare now. So all of these 1 rupee notes are a pure collection, or let's say the series is some kind of a unique series. I have some kind of old precious coins with me, which basically is money. But I am not going to use it as money. Let's say I have 100 notes of 1 rupee. I have 100 notes of 1 rupee. But this 100 notes of 1 rupee, because they are ancient, because they are precious, because they have now become a collection, I might probably sell these notes for, let's say, 300 or 400 rupees. Which means my intention to use this money is not to use it as a money, but I am using them as some kind of a goods or some kind of a stock. In that case, these will be considered as goods and GST will be applicable on them. So you could possibly hold some kind of a collection of ancient coins or some kind of a special series notes or anything like that, which you are not using as a money, but you are using it as a goods or stock to earn money. Then those things are known as goods. Those things are known as goods. Ma'am, here what do we understand by severed before supply? See, let's say a farmer today is growing crops and he is growing those crops with the intention to sever them only before he makes such supply. So let's say I have a mango tree. I have not yet sold these mangoes, but I know before selling I will pluck these mangoes and they'll only sell them. So as such, today I have not entered into any supply contract, but I know that before supply I will sever them and only then make a supply, or I have already entered into a contract and now I am severing. In both of these cases, they will be considered as goods only. Arun, is it clear? Yes, ma'am. So if you sever it before supply or you sever it under a contract of supply, the main term here is sever, means to cut. You are cutting them away from land in order to make supply or under a contract of supply. Both the cases, it will be considered as goods only. Right, ma'am. So what is money here? Indian legal tender, foreign currency, check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, everything that RBI recognizes as medium of exchange except for any kind of money that you are holding for its numismatic value, means you are not using the money as money. You are using the money as goods only. In that case, that particular money will be considered as goods. You can write here in bracket that example, any kind of ancient coins or any kind of unique number currency notes that I am holding to sell them and earn out of these, they will be considered as goods. Then CBIC issued a circular which simply clarified that commercial papers and certificate of deposits will also be considered as money and GST will not be applicable. So today if you go and make an FD of your money, the bank will give you certificate of deposit, no GST applicable. Corporate companies issue commercial papers in order to raise money. Everything is considered as money only and GST is not applicable. Okay, ma'am. Security means any kind of shares, stock, bond, debenture, mutual fund, government security, right in security, everything is security only. Ma'am, what about derivatives, forwards and futures? Let's say I enter into a future agreement, options or forwards. Will that also be considered as security and GST not applicable? So here we say there can be two possible final result out of it. Today I enter into a soybean forward. I enter into a 3-month soybean forward. I hope you all know what is forward and future. Tell me. If no, then you will study all of these things in AFM, Advanced Financial Management. You have an entire chapter about derivatives, but I believe being CA, CMA students, you have some idea about what is forward or future. If no, I will simply give you an overview. Okay, chal. Let's say, let's talk about gold. Okay. The gold price is somewhere between 74,000. Okay. I feel that in 6 months, the prices will go up. I feel that in 6 months, the prices might go somewhere around 78 or 79,000 also. But in market, there is one person who is saying that after 6 months, irrespective of whatever the gold prices are, I will give you gold at a price of 75,000 only. So today I feel that okay, I should enter a contract with this person because I know the actual market gold price is going to be somewhere around 78,000. This person will after 6 months give me for 75 only. So I will enter into this contract, and now here on the date of expiry, irrespective of whatever the actual gold price is in the market, this person will have to give me the gold for 75,000 only. If my expectation wins and the actual price is 78, I will earn 3. Or let's say I lose and actual gold price goes down to 69, then in that case I will lose. I will have to pay 75, whereas in market it is available only for 69. So basically I will simply lose 6 here. This is known as forward or future contracts. So are they also considered as securities under GST? The answer is very simple. If upon expiry you do a cash settlement, means you do a net settlement. I never actually wanted gold. I just wanted to bet on it. So let's say the prices actually go to 78. I have entered into a contract for 75. The opposite person will simply give me 3 and we will net settle it. He will never give me gold. I will never give him entire cash. So if I am going to cash settle or net settle my transaction where only the profit or loss are being paid or received, then it will be considered as security and GST will not be applicable. Whereas let's say we decide to actually execute the contract, means I will pay 75 and this person will actually give me gold. Then in this case, because since I am actually receiving the commodity, I am actually receiving the goods, I will say in case of physical delivery, GST will be applicable. So if you are dealing in options, derivatives, forwards, futures, anything, and you are purely betting on it, means your pure intention is to bet on the security and never to take delivery out of it, then it will also be considered as security and GST will not be levied because they are not goods. However, if for any commodity forward or future you decide to actually take the physical delivery according to contract, in that case they will be considered as goods and GST will be applicable. See, this can happen only in case of commodity derivatives, commodity forwards or futures. Let's say I enter into currency forward or futures, dollar rate. I enter into a forward or future for dollar. Then understand, even if I take delivery of dollar, dollar is money, foreign currency, and GST cannot apply on money. So even if the derivatives are for currencies, then in that case currencies or securities, because currency or security themselves are outside the purview of goods definition, GST cannot apply on them. But let's say I enter into a commodity forward for soya bean, for gold, anything like this, GST being applicable on those goods, then in that case taking physical delivery will attract GST. Even if I take physical delivery of dollars or let's say any securities, the underlying things are only not goods, then GST cannot apply. But for commodity forwards futures, GST will apply. Tell me, is this clear to everyone? Is this clear to all of us that in case of derivatives, forwards or futures, GST will be leviable if I settle them by delivery, by physical settlement. In case of net settlement or cash settlement, GST will not be applicable because simply these things are included in the definition of security and securities are not considered as goods. Is it clear everyone? Yes ma'am. Chal. Now moving to actionable claim. simply claim to any kind of debt other than a secured debt. So let's say your debt is secured by any immovable property or hypothecation or pledge or anything like that. In that case, it will not be an actionable claim because it is sure to happen. In case of an unsecured debt, we consider it as an actionable claim, which the civil courts recognize as affording grounds for relief, whether such debt could be beneficial interest to existent, accruing, conditional or contingent. It could happen, it could not happen, but if it happens, I can go and take an action against it because the civil courts recognize these kind of actions. They are known as actionable claim. No, see, in case of commodities, let's say I enter into a soybean forward. And I actually take delivery of the soybean and pay the amount for which I have entered into forward or future. Then GST will be applicable because this will be considered as supply of goods. But if I decide to cash settle it or net settle it, that whatever is the existing price of soybean versus my contract price, I will simply pay or receive the difference. In that case, this is not goods. This is not goods and GST not applicable. But for currencies or securities, even if I take delivery or I cash settle it, because the underlying thing is only, see, I entered into a dollar forward or future, right? If I actually take the delivery of dollars, then what is the underlying thing? Dollar. And GST on dollar itself is not applicable. Then how can I levy GST? But GST is applicable on soybean or gold or anything like that. In that case, we will say it is goods and GST will be applicable. Dollar in itself is money and money is also outside the purview of GST. Or let's say I enter into a forward or future contract for Reliance Industries Limited share. Even if I physically take the delivery of share, understand the share itself is a security and security is outside the purview of GST. Is it now clear? Okay Siddhi, chalo. Abhi batao, is it now clear? For any commodity forward or future, if you take physical delivery, it becomes goods. Goods are coming in your hand, so of course you will have to pay GST. Net settlement, no goods are actually being transacted. It is pure game of money and securities. Therefore, no GST. But in case of securities or currencies, even if I take physical delivery, the underlying asset is only not a good. Then how can GST be applicable on it? Bolo Siddhi, aaya samajh. Chalo everyone. Is it clear? Yes, ma'am. Now, there are certain kind of specified actionable claims. The definition of actionable claim, no need to learn. No need to learn. Every single thing that you are required to learn or remember, I will make you learn and remember in the class itself only. If something I am simply just explaining and moving further, which means you are not required to learn it. So rest assured about it. Whatever is required to be remembered, I will give time and make you remember in the class. The definition of actionable claims is not at all important. Therefore, we are just understanding and moving forward. Now, there are 6 kinds of actionable claims which are specified under GST, which are treated differently than the remaining actionable claims. What are the 6 specified types of actionable claims? Lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, online money gaming and casino. With me everyone. Lottery, betting, you have to learn this. Lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, online money gaming and casino. These are 6 specified kinds of actionable claims. In further chapters of supply, we will understand that these are the kinds of actionable claims which are treated differently in GST compared to the other remaining actionable claims. So, which are these 6 kind of specified actionable claims? Lottery, betting, gambling. We remember this as LGBT, no T. So, lottery, betting, gambling and hawk. Horse racing, online gaming and casino. Lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, online gaming and casino. With me everyone one last time. Lottery, betting, gambling. Lottery, betting, gambling. Horse racing, online money gaming and casino. Write along with me here in the comment section, everyone. Lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, online money gaming and casino. What are these? They are 6 specified actionable claims. They are 6 specified actionable claims. Why specified? You will understand in later chapters. As I said, I am just teaching you important terms for now. Means all this knowledge will be required in the understanding of further chapters. Then I will simply say a 6 specified actionable claims, and this thing has to click in your mind that okay, ma'am is talking about lottery, betting, gambling, etc. I will simply say goods, and the definition of goods should strike in your mind. Okay, ma'am. Chalo. So what we understood? Under GST, goods and services tax. Yesterday we understood what is tax. Tax is a compulsory monetary payment that I have to do in order to run the administration. Tax on what? Tax on supply. This is a tax on supply because supply is the taxable event here. Supply of what? Supply of goods or service. So a tax which is essentially levied on supply of goods or services is known as GST, of which we already understand what is goods. So goods means every kind of movable property other than goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security, but includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass or anything that is attached to or forming part of land which is agreed to be severed before supply or under a contract of supply. Right, ma'am. In this, again, what is money? Money simply means Indian legal tender, foreign currency, check, promissory note, draft, bill of exchange, anything or any other instrument that is recognized by RBI. But it will not include any currency held for its numismatic value. Why? Because if anything is held for its numismatic value, it is basically treated as goods only and GST will be applicable on it. What is security? Any kind of share, stock, bond, debenture, right in any kind of government security, derivatives, forward, futures, if cash settled, they are all considered as securities and the GST will not be applicable because they are not goods. But includes actionable claims, of which you only have to remember 6 specified actionable claims: lottery, betting, gambling, online money gaming, horse racing and casino. Or anything that is attached to or forming part of land which will be severed and sold will also be considered as goods only today, even if they are not movable. Chalo. Anyone having any doubt till here or everything is extremely clear to us? Samajh aa gaya, maza aa gaya, yaad ho gaya. We've understood, we've remembered and we've enjoyed. Yes or no? It is not just about understanding, it is more about learning also. Throughout the classes, I will keep repeating this thing. We have enough time. 100 hours is more than enough for us to remember entire GST in class itself only. Tell me now, shall we move further? Shall we move forward? It is all clear to us. Yes, ma'am. Dil dil agak bomb bomb. Chalo. Now we move further and understand what is services. What is services? Because GST is applicable on goods also, service also. Goods we've understood. Now again the definition of service can be broken into service means other than but includes. Service means other than but includes. Such an amazing definition. Service means anything. Wow. Service means anything. Anything is a service other than goods, money and security. So if something is particularly falling under the definition of goods, then consider them as goods. Money as well as security are neither goods nor services. Now whatever is left, everything is a service only. What they are saying, service means anything. Service means anything other than goods, money or security. So if something is particularly falling under the definition of goods being movable property or actionable claims or anything like that, then you consider them as goods only. If they are not goods, then are they money or security? Then also they are not services, because see, goods excluded money and security from its definition. Services then automatically service would include it, because service means anything. So we particularly excluded them here also. So it makes this extremely clear for us that money and security are neither goods nor services, because both the definitions exclude them. So GST will never be applicable on money or security, but includes. Now they are saying, see, understand, money is not goods or service. Security is also not goods or service. But use of money or security, or facilitating transactions in money or security to convert the money into one form, currency and denomination from another form, currency or denomination for which a consideration is charged. What, ma'am? What? This went very fast. See, understand what I am saying very, very slowly. If I give you a 500 rupee note, let's say I give a 500 rupee note to Pooja. Pooja gives me 50 notes of 10 notes of 50 rupees each. I wanted change, I gave her 500, she gave me 10 notes of 50 rupees each. This is a mere transaction in money. No GST on it, because money is not goods, not services. But let's say I went to Pooja. I gave her 500 rupees and she gave me 9 notes of 50 only. She said, ma'am, 50 rupees is my charge, my consideration, because I converted your money from one denomination to another denomination. You had 500 denomination rupee note. I gave you 50 rupee denomination notes in exchange of it, which means I have given you a kind of a service to exchange your notes. Now this thing will be treated as a service under GST, and GST will be applicable on this particular service. Which means money in itself is not goods, not services. But if I am facilitating the use of money by converting money from one form, currency or denomination to another form, currency or denomination for which I am charging some kind of consideration, then it is considered as service. This is an example of denomination. When I changed my denomination from one form to another form and GST became applicable. Currency, very simple. If I exchange dollar for rupee, or let's say rupee for yen or anything like that, the person converting my amount for forex, of course, charges some kind of a commission. So let's say if the current dollar rate is running at 83 and I want to purchase dollar, will I get exactly for 83? No, the person could charge 85 or 84 or something like this, because the differential is what he is earning from me, which means he is changing my one currency into another currency by charging some kind of consideration from me. Then this is also use of money, converting from one form currency to another form currency, which means GST will be applicable on this consideration. What about form, ma'am? Simple, I had physical cash, I went to bank and deposited that in the FD. So simply converting without any consideration is not a supply. But let's say they are charging some kind of a draft fees from me, letter issuance charges. If you go to a bank and you ask letter of credit from them, they will of course charge some kind of a fees from you to issue a letter of credit to you. That fees what the bank is charging will be taxable under GST, because now they are charging consideration to use money. Is this making sense to us? Yes, ma'am. What they are saying is services means anything. Services means anything other than goods, money or security, which means if something is particularly falling in the definition of goods, it is goods. Money, security, neither goods nor services, but includes any activity which is relating to the use of money or conversion from one form, currency or denomination to another form, currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is being charged. In that case, it will become a service. If I give you a 2000 rupee note and you give me 200 rupee 10 notes, it is not a service. Why? Because no consideration is charged. The denomination is changed, but consideration is not charged. If form, currency or denomination is changing and plus consideration is also charged, then only it will become a service. Similarly, security is not goods, not service, but facilitating transaction in security is a service. Purchasing a Reliance Industries Limited share is not a service, but the broker, the agent, the intermediary, if he charges some commission from me to sell or purchase these shares, then this commission will be considered as service under GST. Is the definition simple? Is the definition simple? Tell me, everyone. goods and services tax is the subject that we are studying. And finally, we are in a position to explain the meaning of every single term of the subject. Tax means a compulsory payment that we have to give to government. Tax can be direct tax, can be indirect tax. Direct tax, progressive in nature, indirect tax, regressive. You do not feel the pinch, you do not feel the burden. But in direct tax, we directly feel the burden, we feel the pinch. Indirect taxes are GST, customs. Currently, we are starting with GST. Okay. GST means a tax which is levied on supply of goods or services. Supply being the comprehensive taxable event. What is goods, ma'am? Goods means every kind of movable property other than money security but includes actionable claims, growing crops, anything attached to land which will be severed. Services means anything. Services means anything. But excludes, not includes what? Goods, money or security. Means services means anything other than goods, money or security. But includes the use of money where the conversion from one form, currency or denomination is done to another form, currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged, or simply facilitating transactions in security. They are all considered as service under GST. Done, ma'am. Let's move further. Okay. So this was extremely important for us to understand the meaning of the subject. Now there are some small terms which will be repeated in majority of the chapters, like related person. See, understand. If we are studying tax, of course any person would want to evade taxes. And what is the best way to evade taxes? To indulge in some kind of transactions with the relatives. We do this in income tax more often, that you take some income in the name of your wife, you take some income in the name of your husband, the child's income, and then therefore we have provisions of clubbing and set off and etc. So similarly, under GST also government knows that you will do some or the other thing with your related person and try to evade taxes. Therefore, we have defined who are related person under GST. For now, we are only understanding the terms and definitions. Therefore, we will only understand that who is considered as a related person in GST. What are the separate provisions for them? That we will see later in the chapter of supply, in the chapter of value of supply, etc. So, for now, we only need to understand who are related person under GST. Who are our related person under GST, that if we are entering into any kind of transaction with these people, we will have to check whether some kind of special provisions are applicable or not. To make this very simple for you, I have made a small mnemonic. SOFA COPS. I have made a small mnemonic which is SOFA COPS. Only the person covered under SOFA COPS will be treated as related person under GST, that is all. If someone is not covered under SOFA COPS, they are not our related person. One by one, we will understand and learn this thing here itself only. So means sole agent or sole distributor. See, let's say today you want to purchase my lectures of GST. There are multiple options available. You can directly come to FAST website and purchase the lectures. You can also purchase them through some third parties or agents like Conferenza website or Make My Delivery, or we have this Smart Learning Destination or CA Point. So there are various agents that sell lectures on behalf of faculties, right? They are all not my related person. They are all not my related person. Why? Because they are my agent or my distributor, but they are not my sole agent or sole distributor. The word here important is not agent or distributor. The important word is sole, which means let's say I have a factory and I manufacture calculators. All of my calculators are supplied through a single distributor or a single agent only. Then this sole distributor or sole agent will be considered as my related person. Tell me, is it clear? Every agent or every distributor is not my related person, no. Only and only my sole agent. If I have only single agent through whom I sell everything, then this sole agent or sole distributor will only be considered as my related person under GST. Okay, ma'am. FA means family. Now, what do we understand by the term family here? Who is a family? Will my uncle be my family? Will my mother's sister, we call Masi, I don't know what you guys call. What do you call your mother's sister? हम तो मासी बोलते हैं. I don't know what you guys call in South. Mother's sister is known as, I don't know, Masi. So will my Masi be my related person? So these could be questions. The definition of family under GST is extremely simple. We have a very small, simple, happy family under GST. We say that the spouse and children. Spouse and children are always related person. Masi, okay, you call them Masi only. Okay. So my spouse, which means my husband. For a guy, his wife. Or your children. Now children would also include your stepchildren. So your spouse and your children, without a second thought, will always, always, always be your related person. But your parents, grandparents, brother or sister will be your related person only if they are dependent on you. Dependency could be a partial dependency also. Now here brother and sister does not include my cousin brother or sister. We are talking about real brother or sister. Step brother is okay. Let's say we have Mr. A here. Mr. A got married again. Mr. A already had a daughter. Now he got married to Miss B. Miss B has a son. They both now become real brother and sister, step brother and sister. That is okay, acceptable as a family. But cousin brother and sister will not be considered as family under GST. So we are talking about real parents, real grandparents, real brother, real sister, could be step. That is okay. Right. So spouse and children are always related person, always. But for parents, grandparents, brother or sister, for them to become your related person under GST, they have to be dependent on you in some or the other way. Partial dependency is also okay. I will ask some questions here, tell me. Question number 1. Let's say my husband Mehul. He earns separately, he has his own business, he is earning, but Mehul is my husband. Mehul is my husband, earning separately, not at all dependent on me. Not at all dependent on me. Tell me, will he be my related person, yes or no? Will he be my related person? Say yes or no. Question 2. Let's say my grandmother. She has a lot of money. She has a lot of money. Dada has left enough for her. So my grandmother is not dependent on anyone. Not dependent on anyone. But she is my grandmother. In fact, we are dependent on her. Will she be my related person? Say yes or no. Third point. My uncle's son, my real uncle's son, which means uncle as in chacha, my father's real brother, whatever you call him, we call chacha here, kaka, chacha, uncle, whatever. So my real uncle's son stays with us and is dependent on me. I sponsor his education and everything. Will he be my related person? Say yes or no. 1, 2, 3, quickly give me answer. Okay, ma'am. See, as you said, spouse and children are always related. Spouse and children are always related without any second thought. So as soon as you see husband here, whether he is dependent or independent doesn't make any difference because he is spouse or children. He will be always related person only. Right, ma'am. But now as soon as we see grandmother, now parents, grandparents, brother and sister will be related only if they are dependent. Grandmother being independent is not my related person under GST. And my real uncle's son, even though he is dependent, but he is not satisfying the first criteria only. He is neither spouse, children, parents, grandparents, brother or sister. Then the question of seeing dependent, independent does not arise only. He is not falling under the definition of parents, grandparents, brother or sister. Therefore, even if he is dependent, he will not be my related person. Is this clear to all of us? Quickly tell me yes or no. I guess everyone has given correct answer here. Right? Yes. Everyone has given correct answer. Done, ma'am. So going back to the definition of related person, which is SOFA corpus. So means my sole agent and sole distributor. Fa means my family. Who will be my family? Spouse and children always be my family. Parents, grandparents, brother and sister will only be my family if they are dependent on me. Then C. Corpus may C. C means control. And this also includes a triangle control. What do you mean by this, ma'am? Let's say there is this company A who has the right to appoint all the directors of company B, which essentially means company A is controlling company B because all the directors of company B can be appointed by company A. So I will say that all directors appointed by company A only. So we have a control ka relationship here. Therefore, A and B are related because A controls B. Similarly, there is this company A and C. Now, A holds 90% shares in C. So, obviously, A is controlling C, holding 90% shares. So, A and C are also related. In this case, we will say that B and C also becomes related. This is the point here. If there are two people controlled by a common person, then these two people will also become related. See, they are related without any doubt because A controls B, they are related. A controls C, they are related. But if A controls, okay, to make it simple, let's say my mummy, my mama, my mom controls me, right? My mom controls me and my mom controls also my brother. So here me and my mom are related because we have a control relationship. Mama and brother are also related because they have a control relationship. But because a common person, mummy, controls both of us, therefore we also become related person under GST. So it is not just direct control. Even if two people are controlled by a common person, then these two people will also become related person under GST. Say yes or no. Now, control here could be with respect to shares, could be because I have a right to appoint all the directors of this company. So, control can be established in multiple ways. If I control a company, we become relative. If I control some another company, we become related. And both of these companies whom I control will also become related person under GST. Okay. So, Fa, C. Then O. O simply means officer or director. O simply means officer or director in one another's business. So simply Mukesh Ambani being director of Reliance Industries is the related person of Reliance Industries. Also it includes officer director in one another's business. In one another's business, which means let's say Mr. A is a director in Mr. B's company and Mr. B is a director in Mr. A's company, then also these two people become related person. What we are saying, officer or director in one another's business. Let's say my father is director in my brother's business, my brother is director in my father's business. These two people are officer or director in one another's business. Then also they become related person. And of course, direct relationship of a company or director, direct relationship of a company officer makes them related person. COPs, C-O-P. P simply means legally recognized partners. So we have ABC firm which comprises of three partners, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. All of these three partners will also become related person. So all the partners of a partnership firm in amongst themselves also become related person. So we simply say legally recognized partners are also related person. E and S. E means employer-employee relationship. Employer-employee relationship. So if you see Tarak Mehta, then Jethalal and Nattu Kaka. Jethalal and Bagha also become related person. So employer and employee are also related person under GST. And last is S, which means shares. S, which means shares more than equal to 25%. So let's say company A holds shares 26% in B. They are related. A holds 75% shares in C. They are related. And also B and C will become related here. This is the similar explanation that I gave in the definition of control. So for shares also, direct holding of more than equal to 25% will make you related person. And also if there is a common person holding more than equal to 25 in multiple people, these multiple people also become related person. So if A holds more than equal to 25% shares in B, A holds more than equal to 25% shares in C. In that case, AB related, AC related. Also B and C. will become related. So you have to remember triangle in control as well as shares. And both the cases you will have to remember triangle. We'll see everything from the notes once again for the revision purpose, and then you will give me thumbs up that yes ma'am, we've understood, we've enjoyed, and we have learned this thing along with you only. So who are the related person under GST? SOFA corps. Who are the related person under GST? SOFA corps. So means sole agent or sole distributor. Not any agent or any distributor. Only if you have a single sole agent or sole distributor, then he will be your related person. FA means family, where spouse and children always related, but parents, grandparents, brother and sister only related if they are dependent. Any person outside these 6 people will never be related. Okay ma'am. Control includes 2 entities controlled by same person also, so you can just draw a small triangle here for you to remember. Okay. Then O means officer, director in one another's business. P means legally recognized partners. E means employer and employee, and shares more than equal to 25%, including a third person holding in both of them. Here also you will draw a triangle for you to recall later. Tell me, is this absolutely clear to all of us? Is this absolutely clear to all of us? Definition of related person under GST. We'll just revise this one last time. Where related person under GST means SOFA corps. This might seem irritating to you now that ma'am, why are you teaching every single thing 3 to 4 times? But in long term, after 2-3 months, when you will take GST, you will open book and automatically things will start coming in your mind. At that point of time, you will say, thank you ma'am, even though it was irritating, but I still remember GST. So this kind of multiple revisions are important. Otherwise, I can finish off my batch in 70 to 80 hours also. We take 20 hours extra just to revise things again and again in the batch, so that you remember them along with me. So recorded mode students, see, live students have no option, but recorded students, even if I am doing 2, 3, 4 revisions, please not skip that part, that okay ma'am, understood. That is for you to practice along with me, to speak out along with me, to scribble along with me, so that you remember. Chalo. So means sole agent or sole distributor. So means sole agent or sole distributor. FA means family, where spouse and children always related, parents, grandparents, brother, sister only related if dependent. COPS, C-O-P-E-S. C means control, also includes triangle. O means officer or director in one another's business. P means legally recognized partners. E means employer and employee relationship. And S means simply shares more than equal to 25%, and this also includes a triangle. Bolo dil dil agag bom bom. Yes, Shubham. Sole agent means entire sales or entire purchase I am doing from that particular one agent only. I have a sole agent. No other agent I have appointed. Either I sell myself or I sell through that agent only. Yes, Shubham. It's not the customer. Huh? See, understand, there's a difference between agent and customer. It could be possible that I have a factory where I manufacture only and only for one particular customer. Let's say Reliance Industries Limited is my customer. They have such a huge demand that my factory is able to satisfy only the demand of Reliance Industries Limited and no another customer. Does Reliance Industries Limited become a related person? Going by the agent definition, no. They are not my agent. Why? Agent means any person who is acting on my behalf. Is it acting on my behalf? The answer is no. But let's say I have a factory and there is this person between us. I give entire of my sales to this person and he further distributes them to other people. Let's say today I decide that I will sell my lectures only and only through one particular website, that is all. In that case, only that one person who is responsible for my entire sales, and I do not give my goods to any other person to act on my behalf, then that person becomes my agent. Understand? Reliance Industries Limited being my customer is a different thing. This person acting as an intermediary helping me to sell goods to various people is my agent. Got it, Shubham? Yes. Chal. Control relationship can establish. There's a different thing. Reliance Industries can have a lot of powers to control me. So going by control, we might become related. But going by agent definition, no. We are not related. Okay, ma'am. Chalo. What do we mean by associate enterprise? Not relevant for you to remember now. When we will go to value of supply chapter, we will see. But yeah, GST doesn't take much effort. GST simply says that whatever is the associate enterprise definition under Income Tax Act. How many of you have completed income tax lectures? Then you would have studied section 92A. We have a chapter named transfer pricing in direct taxes, where under section 92A you will understand in detail the definition of associate enterprise. That same definition is applicable for GST also. However, you need not take much load, because if a question is asked with respect to associate enterprise and there is only one provision in entire GST, there is only one small provision which requires you to understand the meaning of associate enterprise, and there also the question or the module gives you a hint that they are associate enterprise under GST, because they are not testing section 92A here. They will test it in income tax. So you need not worry about this. You simply need to know that whoever is associate enterprise under income tax will become associate enterprise for me also under GST. Okay, ma'am. Now understanding what is business. See. Chalo, I will ask you some questions without teaching those things. Let us see that without even learning, do we already know these things? So we have Arun here and we have Shivangi. Shivangi comes to Arun's shop and purchases some chocolates and biscuits from Arun. So Arun gives chocolates and biscuits to Shivangi. In return, Shivangi gives him money. Now, I have not explained anything to you. I have multiple questions here. Give me answer one by one. 1. Is this business? 2. Who is supplier? 3. Who is recipient? I have not taught you anything. I have not taught you anything about business, supplier, recipient. But do you already know this? Tell me. Are chocolates and biscuits goods under GST? Is this transaction a supply? Who is paying consideration? Six questions I have asked you. One by one, give me answer. Chal. I have not taught you anything about business, supplier, recipient, consideration, nothing. I have not taught you anything. I have only taught you question number 4, that is all. But still, are you able to answer me all the questions? Let us see. Okay, ma'am, see. First of all, is this business? Yes. Arun is owning a shop. Shivangi comes, purchases something. So Arun is doing a business by supplying these chocolates to her. Okay. Who is supplier here? Arun, ma'am. Because Arun is giving the goods services to Shivangi, so he is supplier. Okay. Who is recipient here? Shivangi, because she is receiving. Are chocolates and biscuits goods? Yes, ma'am, because they are movable property and every kind of movable property is considered as goods in GST. Now, is this a supply? Supply includes sale, transfer, barter, exchange, everything. So yes, we will say this is a supply. Supply happening in course furtherance of business. Who is paying the consideration here? Shivangi is paying the consideration here. Every one of you has given correct answer. Every one of you. All the students have answered all the 6 questions correctly without me even explaining to you what is business, what is supplier, what is recipient. But now we will understand that how do we actually decide that Arun is a supplier? How do we actually decide that Arun is a supplier? Let's take another example. I went to a Chroma store. I went to a Chroma store and I wanted to purchase a laptop. I went there and as soon as I entered the store, I met Shubham. I was like, Shubham was like, hi ma'am, I'm your SAFAL batch student. I said, oh hi. And then we were just talking, we got along and then we were looking for laptops. I purchased a laptop, I went to the billing counter. Now, there I realized that I forgot my phone, I forgot my wallet, I forgot everything. But Shubham said, no problem ma'am, I will pay. Shubham said, no problem ma'am, I will pay, we'll adjust it later on. I said, okay. Now in this case, I was the person wanting the laptop. The laptop will go along with me to my place. It will be used for my business purpose. We will adjust the things later on. But for now, Shubham paid for me. Then who becomes recipient? Riddhi or Shubham? Supplier is Chroma, no doubt about it, because Chroma supplied the laptop. Laptop is a goods because being a movable property. It is a business for Chroma. But now, Riddhi was actually supposed to pay the consideration, but Shubham paid because of some circumstances. Now who becomes the recipient? So like this, there can be multiple situations that can arise which are not as simple as the question that I asked you. Therefore, it is important for us to understand what do we exactly mean by business, what do we exactly mean by supplier, what do we exactly mean by recipient. Chalo, we'll keep this question on hold. Once I explain you the definition of recipient, then I will ask you this question back. And then you guys tell me whether Riddhi is a recipient or Shubham is a recipient. Chalo, ma'am. So first of all, we understand business, then supplier, and then recipient, and then consideration one by one. So all the terms used in this chart will be extremely clear to us. First of all, understanding business is extremely simple. Business means any kind of trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, everything is a business. Even if you are making losses out of it, even if your intention is not to earn money, but still you are doing trade, commerce, profession, business, then it is a business. Frequency, volume, continuity, regularity, nothing is a prerequisite here. I sell only 2 lectures. Entire year, I was able to sell only 2 lectures, which means I had no volume. I had no volume. Still, the sale of these 2 lectures will be my business? Yes. Frequency, ma'am? Frequency, my business is not that frequent. I'm able to sell one goods today, then after 6 months, another goods is being sold. Still, it is a business? Yes, ma'am. Continuity. Let's say we have a seasonal business. I sell umbrellas. So, I open my business only in the rainy season, close the business. So, there's no regularity or continuity in the business. Still, will it be considered as a business? The answer is yes. The frequency, volume, continuity, regularity is not important. Intention is important. If the intent is business, it is a business. So, any kind of trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, even if there is no monetary benefit, even if you are making losses, doesn't matter. Everything will be considered as business, plus any activity related to it, incidental to it, even if it is of same nature, even if there is no volume or continuity, it will be treated as business. Let's say my actual business is to sell watches. My actual business is to sell watches, but of course, since I sell watches, if any customer who has purchased watch from me faces any issue, I repair the watches for them, I change the cells for them, and I charge some money from them. Which means the other activity that I am doing is somewhere incidental, ancillary to my main activity, is of same nature with the main activity, then this repairing of watch will also be considered as my business. Not just the sales of watch, but also the repairing of watch will now become my business only. Also, if I am selling or purchasing any capital goods for starting or ending my business, that is also a business. Okay. I am a cloth merchant. Example is very simple. I am a cloth merchant. My actual business is to purchase and sell clothes. But in order to keep the clothes, I purchased a wooden cabinet. I purchased a wooden almirah, a cabinet where in my store I am arranging all the clothes. Later I decide, because there was a lot of rain and I was facing problem with the wooden almirah, it क्या बोलते भाई, हम तो बोलते दीमक लग गया. I don't know what it is known in English. What do you say, this small kind of insects that infect the wood? I'm not able to recall that term right now. Okay, these small insects that infect the wood. So I decided to discard these wooden cabinets, and instead I thought to put aluminium cabinets or steel cabinets here. So this kind of purchase or sale of cabinets to store my clothes, will this also be considered as my business? Say yes or no. A fungus. No, it's not fungus basically. Fungus is something different. I don't know what it is called in English. हम तो बोलते हैं दिमाग लग गया. Termite. Oh yes, I think it's termite, not dermite. It's termite. If I guess Shivani is correct, it's termite. Chalo. So here the question is not what Dimak is known as English. The question here is whether this selling of wooden cabinet and purchasing of steel cabinet will be considered as my business. Yes or no? Pest. Ma'am, very simple. Pest. We can call it pest or termite. Chalo, now come to the main question. Whether this selling and purchasing of wooden and steel cabinets be also considered my business? The answer is yes. So in the definition of business, they are saying that if you supply or you acquire any goods, including capital goods or services, in connection with commencement or closure of your business, then that is also considered as your business only. So your business is not just your main business. Anything attached to your business, ancillary to your business, related to your business, capital goods or services related to your business, everything is your business only. Okay, ma'am. If I am running a club or an association where people come pay the fees to become a part of that club association, that is also business. So the members, if you pay consideration, so there are multiple clubs. Let's say there is this Rajpath club, YMCA club, clubs or Rotary club, and all of these clubs. You pay membership fees to become part of these clubs. It is also a kind of business only. If you are paying consideration to take admission at some place, let's say you go to a zoo. So to enter the zoo, you need to take a ticket. You go to circus. To enter the circus, just to take admission in it, you need to purchase a ticket. Is that also a business? The answer is yes. So admission for consideration to any premises, that is also a business. If you are holding some kind of a post or an office and you are charging consideration to be on that post, that is also a business. Then horse race clubs and any activity done by government authorities as a government authority as a public authority, they are all considered as business only. So the definition of business is extremely simple. The intention has to be of business. Now in reality, even if you are making losses, even if you are not earning money, doesn't matter, it will still be considered as business only. Your frequency, volume, continuity, regularity, nothing matters. Your intent matters. And now amount charged to become a member of a club, for horse racing, for admission to any premises, for your main business, for anything ancillary to your business, everything is considered as a business only. Chalo, I'll ask you one question. Tell me whether it is business or not. Salman Khan is also a painter, if you've heard about him. Okay. Salman Khan is also a painter and he has made some paintings here. He is selling these paintings. He is selling these paintings and he decides and he announces this also, that whatever amount I am going to receive from the sales of this painting, I will donate to a charitable institution, let's say Being Human. Let's assume Being Human is a charitable institution registered under Income Tax Act as a charitable trust. So he decides to sell his paintings and donate all the money that he is getting from this sale to this Being Human. I think Yuvraj Singh has a brand UV Can, and whatever money he earns out of UV Can, he donates to the cancer patients, he donates it for the betterment of cancer people. So it is that kind of an example where I am selling something and whatever money I am receiving, I am going to donate. Is this selling of painting a business or not? Say yes or no. Is this a business or not? Bolo na. Is this a business or not? Ma'am, might be a business. Bhai is doing business. Okay, Venkatesh is saying, yes, ma'am, Bhai is doing a business. See, it is a business, of course. Today, if I tell you that whatever lectures I sell, 18% GST is applicable on it, yes, ma'am. So your lecture amount is already inclusive of 18% GST. So if we charge 6,000 from you, it is not 6,000 that I get 6,000 minus 18%. 18% goes to government. Okay. So now in this case, let's say I say, whatever amount I receive from the sales of lecture, not a single rupee I am going to use for myself. I am going to donate everything to a charitable institution that I receive from the sales of my lectures. Will this decision affect the implication of GST? The answer is no. It is your money. By selling lectures, I am doing a business. Now it is my personal call. Whatever I want to do of this money, I can donate it. I can keep it in a locker. I can spend it. I can give gift to someone. I can do whatever I want. That is my personal choice. It will not affect the transaction between us to be treated as business or not. Similarly here, they might confuse you by saying that we are incurring heavy losses, we are not earning anything, or whatever we are earning, we are donating. Doesn't matter. Intent is business, it will be considered as business only. Okay. Now the definition of supplier. Very, very simple. Supplier in relation to any goods, services or both simply means person supplying the goods, services or both in own capacity, and also includes every agent acting on behalf of such principal. So here we say supplier in relation to any goods, services or both. Supplier in relation to any goods, services or both. Sorry, huh? Chalo. Just give me a second. Okay. So supplier in relation to any goods, services or both simply means any person who is actually supplying the goods. Means the person giving the goods or service, the person supplying the goods or service, and also includes an agent who is acting on behalf of such principal, because now the agent becomes the person who is supplying because he is acting on the behalf of principal. So now in this case, we simply say the example that we had taken just now. Arun was the person who actually supplied the chocolates and biscuits to Shivangi, and therefore we say that Arun becomes a supplier here. The definition of supplier is extremely simple. The definition of supplier simply means that any person who is supplying the goods or services plus his agent, they all become supplier. What is this extended part of definition? This was added just a year back only, not even a year, I guess 7-8 months back amendment this is. Earlier the definition of supplier was only of 3 lines and it used to end here, that is all. But now they have added this paragraph which is also very simple. This paragraph says, provided that a person who organizes or arranges directly or indirectly supply of specified actionable claims, including a person who owns, operates or manages digital or electronic platforms. See, I will first explain you and then we will read this from the core part. So they are saying if there is any specified actionable claim happening online, lottery, betting, gambling, online gaming, horse racing, casino, etc. So let's say you are playing rummy online. You are playing online rummy. Now in that case, to play the game, you need to deposit or pay some kind of money, money's worth or virtual digital asset, right? We are saying that let's say I am playing an online money gaming. I need to pay some kind of money's worth or virtual digital asset. What is virtual digital asset, ma'am? Let's say bitcoins, cryptocurrency, they are virtual digital assets. Money's worth, it could not be money but something in the form of money or some other thing that I am giving in place of money. That is also okay. Or pure money that I am paying or depositing. Why, ma'am? Because I am expecting to earn more money, money's worth or virtual digital asset. A player would obviously pay or deposit money's worth or virtual digital asset in an expectation to earn more money's worth or virtual digital asset out of it. Now in this case, the online platform that is organizing everything or arranging everything will be treated as a supplier of these kinds of goods or services, and now this person will have to discharge all the duties as a supplier, collect GST and pay it to government. This is the amendment here. What they are saying, see, person who organizes or arranges directly or indirectly supply of specified actionable claims, including a person who owns, operates or manages digital or electronic platform, shall be deemed to be a supplier of such actionable claim, whether it is supplied by or through him or whether the consideration is received in the form of money's worth, virtual digital asset, for supply of such actionable claims is paid or conveyed to him or through him, placed at his disposal. Then all the provisions of this act that apply to a normal supplier will also be applied to this person who is managing or operating the entire transaction of actionable claim. Ma'am, are we supposed to remember this? No. Are we supposed to understand this? Yes. So no need to remember this. You simply have to understand. They will never in examination ask you that explain us who is a supplier. No, never. It is very simple. A person supplying the goods or services, a supplier, includes also his agent acting on his behalf. For specified actionable claims, we will say that the person who is arranging or organizing everything who is actually receiving money, money's worth or virtual digital asset that is being paid by the player or the person engaging in actionable claim, that person who is receiving this consideration directly or indirectly or to manage or to own or to operate that platform will be considered as supplier, and all the provisions of this act that apply to a normal supplier will now be applicable to this person also who is receiving consideration in the form of money, money's worth or virtual digital asset. Tell me. It is a one-page definition, but you are not required to learn it. You are only required to understand it. And I hope we have understood it. Yes or no? Say yes or no. I just cannot stop smiling. So my husband just now came and he just left this note here saying, I'm going out, call me when you are done with the lectures. So just came quickly, put this note here to not disturb me. And it is disturbing me since then. He could have dropped me a WhatsApp text, but okay, he just decided to come, drop in this letter here so that I'm distracted. Yes, Pooja. Chalo. Clear? Okay, ma. Now, so we are understood, we are now clear with the definition of supplier. We are now clear with the definition of supplier. And we know what is goods or service. Now is the time to understand who is a recipient. So, recipient of goods, services or both simply means a person who is liable to pay the consideration where consideration is payable. So, for any kind of supply, if a consideration is payable, then the person liable to pay the consideration, is known as a recipient. Wherever consideration is payable, the person liable to pay the consideration will be known as recipient. But let's say a student came to me and he said, ma'am, I'm not able to afford the classes for now. Can you please give them for free? Later, whenever I start earning, whenever I become CA, I will pay the fees. I say, okay, no problem. So in that case, where consideration is not payable, then of course nobody is going to pay the consideration, but supply is still happening. So whoever is receiving this supply free of cost, whoever is benefiting out of that thing becomes the recipient automatically. So the person to whom I deliver the goods or to whom I render the service will now become my recipient. Also, the definition of supplier includes agent. The definition of recipient also includes agent. So, if any person is acting on my behalf to purchase something, then my agent also becomes a recipient. So, throughout the act, whenever any reference is made to a person that we have made a supply to him, we will construe as if the supply is made to a recipient only. So, very simple, if consideration payable, the person liable to pay consideration is recipient. If consideration not payable, the person who is receiving the goods or service becomes the recipient, and agent is also included in the definition of recipient. Having understood this, now tell me that in our chroma example, who is the recipient? Riddhi or Shubham? Who is the recipient here, Riddhi or Shubham? Chalo, chalo, chalo. Think and answer. The provision is in front of you. I have just read it out for you. I have not yet explained it. But let's see if you can catch. Shubham says, ma'am, me, I am the recipient. Is it so? Whereas Pooja says, Riddhi. Chalo. The correct answer here is Shubham, no. The correct answer here is Riddhi. Read the provision again. Read the provision again. The person liable to pay the consideration and not the person actually paying the consideration. Who was actually liable to pay the consideration at the chroma store? I was actually liable to pay the consideration. It is just that Shubham paid it on behalf of me. Later we are going to adjust. If someone is simply paying something on behalf of you, you might not pay him later, you might pay him later. That is your personal understanding. But for now, who was actually liable, who is going to take these goods or services, use them for their own business purposes? Me, Riddhi. I was actually liable. Now, someone paid it on my behalf, that's a separate thing. So in spite of Shubham paying this consideration for me, I will only be considered as a recipient. Tell me, is this clear to all of us? The important word here is liable. They have not written the person paying consideration. If they would have written the person paying consideration, then Shubham would have become the recipient. But they are saying the person liable to pay the consideration. If no consideration is payable, then to very simple, whoever is receiving goods or services, and agent point is also very simple. Understood to all of us? Yes, ma'am. So now in this diagram, I know why this is a business. I know who is supplier. I know who is recipient, and I know why chocolates and biscuits are goods. I also know why the transaction is a supply. The only last thing that I need to understand is the definition of consideration. And then we understand the entire chart and every single terminology used in this chart. Okay. So who is paying consideration was the question. So ma'am, for that we need to understand what is a consideration. Consideration simply means any kind of a payment. Payment could be in the terms of money or otherwise. You can also exchange something. Let's say I went to purchase this calculator. I gave my old calculator, got this calculator, paid only the differential amount. That is also okay. So it is not necessary that all the time you have to pay money only. You can also pay in any otherwise term other than money for a payment. That can also be considered as a supply. That is fine. So payment in money or any otherwise thing for a supply will be known as consideration. Who pays the consideration? Normally recipient, but he can also tell some another person to pay the consideration on his behalf. That is also okay. Monetary value to do something or to not do something is also a consideration. So let's say Arun got 92 marks in IDT. I got 82 in my May 22 examination. Arun appeared in November 24 and got 92 marks in CA final IDT. The moment he got his result, he decided, I am going to teach GST. I attended SAFAL batch and my concepts are so clear that now I am ready to teach GST. So Arun calls me up and says, hey ma'am, I have decided to start teaching GST. And I said, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, you cannot do this. Jis thali mein khaya usme ched karega kya? I'm sorry, I don't know English of this. So Arun, I will simply say, Arun, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? He said, no ma'am, I have to. I got 92 marks. So I said, okay, let's do one thing. You keep this 15 lakh from me and promise me that you will not start teaching GST. So here Arun has taken some monetary value to forbear from an act, to not do an act. Okay. So is this 15 lakh also a consideration? The answer is yes. Let's take an illegal example just for fun. Okay. Any amount that you take to do something is also a supply, also includes consideration. Let's say I decided Arun was not ready to accept 15 lakh only. He said, no ma'am, I will teach GST. I said, Shubham, listen. Come here. Let's say Shubham got 86 marks. Shubham was also extremely jealous of Arun. Shubham said, even though I got 86 marks, this guy scored higher than me, no. And I said, yeah, this guy, he wants to teach GST. So I said, Shubham, listen, I will give you 5 lakh rupees. I will give you 5 lakh rupees, remove Arun from my way. Raste se hata do Arun ko. So in that case, Arun, it's just an example. So I gave 5 lakh supari to Shubham just to remove Arun from my way. Now in that case, Shubham has agreed to do something by taking 5 lakh rupees. Is that 5 lakh also a consideration? The answer is yes. So any monetary value for any act or forbearance of act is also a supply, and that also is included in the definition of consideration. The amount is paid by a recipient, or recipient can tell someone else to pay the amount on his behalf. That is all fine. But if you receive any money or any monetary value from central government or state government in the form of subsidy, it is never considered as supply and it is never taxed under GST. If you get a subsidy from local authority, that is considered as supply, that is considered as consideration, and GST might apply. But any kind of subsidy or incentive that you are receiving from central government or state government will never be considered as consideration. If anything is not a consideration, then GST cannot apply on it. Say yes or no. So any kind of payment that I am doing in money or otherwise terms, or any monetary value to do or to not do an act, everything that is paid by recipient or any other person is considered as consideration. But any kind of subsidy received from central government or state government is not a consideration. Right, ma'am. Chalo. One question for you. What is the difference between advance and deposit? What is the difference between advance and deposit? Let's say I go to get a room on rent in a PG. Now the PG owner tells me that you have to give 10,000 as deposit and every month your rent is 5,000. So I also need 2 months rent advance, that is 10,000. So he took 20,000 rupees from me today when he is giving a room where 10,000 is deposit and 10,000 is advance. What is the difference between deposit advance, or are they both same only? You got my question? Yes, ma'am. I am asking difference between deposit and advance. Very good. Ma'am, deposit is refundable. Deposit is refundable, whereas advance is later adjust in return of some kind of supply of goods or services. So here if I am paying this 10,000 of deposit, it simply means that this deposit will stay with the PG owner, and in case I am not able to pay any rent or in case I damage any property, this deposit will be adjusted against it, and later when I leave this property, this entire deposit will be given back to me. This is a deposit. Whereas this 10,000 advance simply means that now for next 2 months I will not be required to pay any rent. Why? Because I have paid this rent in advance and the renting service will be adjusted against it in the coming time. But even if I give deposit, I will have to continuously keep giving rent because deposit is not adjusted anywhere. It will be refunded back to me at the end of the period. So now tell me that ideally GST should apply on what? Deposit or advance? Ideally, according to you, what should be considered as a consideration? Advance or a deposit? Very simple, advance, ma'am, because advance is what we are actually paying for goods or services. Deposit is just the transaction in money. I am giving him money, he will again return that money back to me, and money is not goods or service. So simply they are saying that deposit you have to consider as payment only if it is applied. So let's say today I gave a 10,000 deposit to my PG owner and later 6 months later I forgot to pay 1 month rent. So he deducted some amount from my deposit and applied it against the rent. At that point of time, I will say it is a payment and it is a consideration. Or let's say I damaged some part of property and he cut some money from my deposit. At that point, it will be considered as consideration. But by then, till it is a simple mere transaction in money, GST will not be applicable, means it will not be considered as consideration under GST. Is it absolutely clear to us? Tell me, everyone. Chalo, fast. So now do we understand that GST is a tax which is applicable when a supplier supplies some kinds of goods or services to a recipient and the recipient pays some kind of consideration against it, then this entire transaction is a transaction happening under the GST. We know what is goods, we know what is service, we know what is tax, we know who is a supplier, we know who is a recipient, and we also know what is a consideration and what is a business. We also know this. So are we absolutely clear with all the terms that are appearing on the screen right now? Yes, Arun, because in that case it becomes a consideration for us. If deposit is non-refundable, then basically it is not a deposit. It is a simple payment for whatever you are receiving. Then it is not deposit only, no, because you will not get it again. So you are paying only. Why you are paying? Because you are receiving some goods or services against it. Right? Understood? Okay, ma'am. Is it Dil Dil Laga Bum Bum? Things are getting clear to you. Right, ma'am. Sure. Now, we'll keep this distinct person part pending good services. Okay, chalo, we'll complete it only. Now, a term completely out of blue which you would probably not have heard. Distinct person. Just like we studied related person under GST, we also have a terminology named as distinct person, which are treated separately in certain provisions under GST. Whenever you hear distinct person from anywhere, you will immediately shout out, same PAN, separate registration. Whenever someone says distinct person, you will simply say same PAN, separate registration. Distinct person means, yes, Pooja. Distinct person means same PAN, separate registration. Same PAN, separate registration. Ma'am, please explain, then see. I hope we all know, and we will discuss this later in the chapter of registration also. But for now, just to give you an overview. Distinct person term will be discussed again, but for now, overview purpose, understand. Today, if I want GST number, I need to have a PAN, right? Why, ma'am? Because GST number, 15-digit number, embeds PAN in itself. The first 2 digits are state code, then the next 10 digits are PAN number, and then we have entity code and checksum character, etc. So every GST number incorporates the PAN number of the person who is obtaining the GST number. Right, ma'am. So PAN is mandatory for me to obtain a GST number. And whenever, okay, so let's say I have one branch in Gujarat, I have one branch in Maharashtra, I have one branch in Rajasthan, which simply means that the registrations under GST are state specific. Why? Because the first 2 digits of the GST number are the state code. Like 27 is a state code, Maharashtra. 24, a state code, right? So every state has its own code, that all the GST numbers registered in that state will start from that code only. So if I have multiple place of businesses across India, one single registration cannot work. One single registration cannot work. I have to take separate registration for every single state. Which means if I have one factory or one shop in Gujarat, I will take one registration here. One in Maharashtra, I have to take one registration here. One in Rajasthan, I will have to take one registration here. So we are simply saying that because I am only the owner of all the 3 shops, PAN will be same. I am owner of all the 3 shops, so I have only one PAN number, which means all the GST numbers will be registered on a single PAN only, right? But because they are all separately registered, PAN is the same, but registration is separate. Therefore, with respect to these registrations, with respect to GST number of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Rajasthan, we will say that all of these 3 registrations are distinct person. Do you understand the meaning of distinct person? It is very simple. Same PAN, separate registration are known as distinct person, owned by one person but separately registered under GST. Let's take another example. In Gujarat only, I have 2 shops. One shop in Ahmedabad and one shop in Surat. I have 2 shops in Gujarat, one in Ahmedabad and one in Surat. Because in a single state, I can have as many shops as I want, and each of those shops can be registered under a single registration only. That is okay, because they are all in single state, so one registration for one state is okay. So both of these shops are under a single registration only. Will now these be considered as distinct persons? Say yes or no. I have 2 shops in Gujarat, both of them under a single registration only. So are they distinct persons? Say yes or no. No, ma'am, they are not distinct person. Why? Because they are same PAN, same registration. We need to check same PAN, separate registration. Only then we become distinct person. Now here, because it is same PAN, same registration, they are not distinct person. And normally if the question is silent and they say, let's say we have supplied from Jaipur to Udaipur. From Jaipur to Udaipur, we know Jaipur and Udaipur both are in Rajasthan, which means normally a person would not take separate registration in a single state and therefore they are not a distinct person. But if the question particularly says that my Jaipur unit is separately registered and my Udaipur unit is separately registered, which is possible. It is not compulsory, but if you voluntarily want to take more than one registration for different place of business in a single state, you can take. Nobody is stopping you. So if in one state only I am taking voluntary multiple registrations, then do they become distinct person? The answer is yes, because now they are same PAN, separate registration. See, if the state is different, then automatically separate registration is required, because one registration cannot continue in multiple states. So If it is a separate state, then we automatically understand they are distinct person. But in same state, normally they will not be distinct person because only one registration is compulsory. But if the question goes ahead and mentions that these two places even in a single state are separately registered, then you will consider them as a distinct person. So whenever I say distinct person, what you will shout? Come on, tell me in the comment section. Whenever you hear distinct person, which two conditions you are going to check? Same PAN, separate registration. Who are distinct person? Same PAN, separate registration. Ma'am, why would a person take separate registration in one state? Okay, let's say I have my teaching business. Yes, I am a teacher. I also have a textile business here. Let's take an example that in my free time after teaching, I go to my shop and I have a textile business. The accountants are separate, everything is separate, entire business is separate. I don't want the accounts to be merged. I don't want my person filing GST returns of my teaching business to know what is happening in my textile business, and both of them are in Maharashtra only. So I decide to go for separate registration, which is completely okay. A person can have different business verticals, no, and they might decide to keep all the accounting, all the compliances separate and not to mix anything. Therefore, I decide to take separate registration in a single state. Makes sense, Arun? Chalo. Makes sense? Yes, ma'am. So, in a single state also, I can decide to be separately registered. Even if business vertical is same, but I want one textile branch to be separately registered, another textile branch to be separately registered, even that is fine. Right. So same PAN, separate registration, it can be in same state, it can be in different state, they will be considered as distinct person. If I transfer stock from Ahmedabad to Surat under same registration, it is not distinct person because same registration. But if they are voluntarily separately registered, then they become distinct person. So distinct person basically is with respect to registration. How many registrations you have in a same PAN? All of those registrations become your distinct person. Whereas what is establishment of distinct person? Establishment simply means a place. A place where you are running business is your establishment. So that could be registered, that could be unregistered. So let's say I have a shop in Ahmedabad. I have a cafe in Ahmedabad or a restaurant in Ahmedabad. But since I will say Gujarat is a dry state, alcohol cannot be served. So in this Ahmedabad restaurant that I own, I only serve coffee, milkshakes, beverages, etc. Whereas in Goa, I have a shop only for alcoholic liquor. Bas. No other beverage, only and only alcoholic liquor for human consumption is available in this Goa shop. So of course, because alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside GST, no need to take registration here. Whereas my Ahmedabad restaurant would be registered. Now, are they both distinct person? No, because same PAN, but not separate registration. No, one is registered, one is not registered. Both are mine, both are under same PAN. But are they separately registered? No, this is not registered only. So, they are not distinct person because distinct person is with respect to registration. Whereas establishment is with respect to a place. So, I will say yes. Being a registered person at one place, I have another establishment somewhere. It might be registered, it might not be registered. So this Goa place, this Goa alcoholic liquor shop becomes my establishment of distinct person. So registration is required only at one leg. If one of my establishment is registered, then whatever other establishment I have throughout India might be registered, might not be registered. They will all be considered as my establishment of distinct person which are under same PAN. Might be registered, might not be registered. So these establishments are establishments of distinct person. Say yes or no. Establishment is with respect to a place and distinct person is with respect to a registration. Yes, Shubham. We will understand that in the chapter of supply in very much detail. For now, we are only understanding distinct person. Shubham is asking that, ma'am, if I am transferring stock from Ahmedabad to Surat branch, will it constitute supply? The answer is yes, but wait for it. We will study section 7 where I will explain you that why and how it is a supply. For now, we are only understanding whether they are distinct person or not. So a registered restaurant in Surat and an unregistered liquor shop in Goa owned by a single person becomes establishment of distinct person. Say yes or no, everyone. Chalo. Bolo na, is it clear? Hanji ma'am. What do we understand by the term export of goods? Very simple. Taking goods out of India to a place outside India is export. So as soon as the goods cross the territory of India, export happens. Right? Export, very, very simple. I am taking goods from India to a place outside India, it becomes export of goods. But what about export of service? See, goods you can physically, tangibly see. You can actually see the goods moving out of India. Therefore, it is very simple that if these goods go out of India, it is export. Services I cannot see, no. Let's say today I say that I have exported someone a service. I say that I have exported someone a service. How can we check it actually whether that export has happened or not? Because service you cannot see. Therefore, government has given us 5 conditions to check whether export of service has happened or not. You have to satisfy all 5 conditions. It is and between all the conditions and not or. Means you have to satisfy all the 5 conditions, only then we will say that export of service has happened. Supplier has to be in India. The location of supplier has to be in India. The location of recipient is outside India. Of course, I have provided some kind of a service to a person outside India. Only then it will qualify as export, right? And the place of supply is also outside India. Ma'am, what is place of supply? We will study a chapter named as place of supply, so do not worry about that. We have provisions to determine place of supply. For now, understand very, very simple. Let's say I am an interior designer. I am an interior designer and I am designing a house for or an office for someone in USA. I am designing office for someone in USA. Now in that case, the office that I am designing in USA, the recipient is also from USA and supplier is from India. So the place of supply is outside India, the recipient is outside India and also the supplier is in India. All of these 3 conditions are okay and very simple. Plus, payment has to be received by the supplier in convertible forex currency. This is a proof that yes, supply has happened. Otherwise, let's say I simply say, I have a friend residing in USA. Now, why would someone want to fake their export? Because government gives a lot of incentives on export. So, of course, I would want to show that I am doing exports and claim benefit of refund and incentives, etc. Yes. So, every person will try to show export even if there are no exports. Therefore, government is very strict about it. So, government says that it is very well possible, no, that I have a friend, Mr. John, saying in USA, I will say that I gave him interior designing services and he said yes. What is the proof that I actually gave interior designing services? If I have actually given services, I would have received consideration. Yes. Therefore, the forex condition is not there in export. Export, you can see the goods going out. No. Services you cannot see. Therefore, we say that if actually you have supplied some service, you would have received some kind of a payment. So, we say that payment received by supplier in convertible forex currency. Indian national rupee is permitted at some places. Normally for export, because we are giving benefits only because India is receiving forex. Therefore, we are giving benefits to you. So, you should actually receive the consideration in the form of convertible forex only. INR is permitted in some cases where, ma'am? If export proceeds are paid in INR from a special rupee Vostro account of correspondent banks of a partner trading company opened by authorized dealer banks, then it is okay, we will consider them as a convertible forex only, provided that foreign trade policy and RBI circulars are not in contradiction to them. What is this Nostro-Vostro account? Do you have an idea? If you have completed your AFM lectures, then I am sure that you know what is a Nostro-Vostro account. I will not go into much details because anyways you cover it in the subject of AFM, but still I will give you an idea. Let's say India and Russia. Russia doesn't have much trust on Indian national rupee. We do not have much trust on Russian rubles. Therefore, we decide to do transactions in dollars. Okay, ma'am. But war between, let's say, Russia and US happened and they have banned dollars. I want to do trade with Russia, but they are not having dollars or dollar is banned just because, or they don't want to use dollars because they are in a war with USA. Now what to do? I do not personally feel confident about Russian rubles. They do not personally feel confident about INR. But we still want to undertake a transaction. Then what to do? In that case, the banks of Russia open banks with Indian dealers and the banks of India open banks with Russian dealers. Now what we do here is we deposit INR only here, and these people will deposit Russian rubles only here, and these will be set off against each other by these banks and by these authorized dealer players. So their account with us, Nostro account, our account with them, Vostro account. So in that case, if at all I have received INR, now what happens is Indian bank will give me INR only. If I am to receive some kind of a payment from this Russian person, he will deposit rubles here, but my Indian bank will give me INR only. Why? Because this bank is having an account in India also, and my bank is having an account in Russia, and both of these things will be set off ultimately. So in this case, we say that so the Nostro account here becomes Vostro account there, the Nostro account there becomes Vostro account here. So simply we say that if by these Nostro Vostro accounts I have received some special rupee, in that case it is okay. We will assume as if the conditions of point number 4 are satisfied. Just check that RBI circulars have no problem with it and the foreign trade policy has no problem in it. It is not like a hawala. Basically, it is a very well proper established system by government. Jaswant, you can consider it as a kind of hawala, but yes, it is not a hawala. It works that ways, but it is completely legal. These Nostro Vostro accounts are completely legal when hawalas are illegal. Okay. So government, to facilitate transactions and to save on the transaction cost and everything, we have these kind of Nostro Vostro accounts. It is a proper banking system of Nostro Vostro account, and through that if you are receiving INR, that is okay, because that person has actually paid rubles and I have received INR. I could have also directly received rubles, but I have saved on the transaction cost, I have simplified my compliances, and therefore I am receiving rupee. So that is okay. It still satisfies the condition of point 4 where I am required to obtain convertible forex. Okay, ma'am. And last point says that supplier and recipient are not mere establishment of distinct person, which means it is not that my own branch is only there. Now we will also discuss this into much details when we move on to a chapter named as import under GST. I will explain you what do we mean by establishment of distinct person and everything again, but for now, very simple, you can keep this point number 5 in mind, that I have a company here in India and I have a very small representational office. I have a very small representational office, let's say in Thailand. Now in this case, if Thailand is paying some money to me, I am paying some money to Thailand, that is not import export, because we can anytime arrange any kind of transaction. If I want to show export, I will tell the Thailand branch to give me some money and I will show that I have done export of service to them. It is very much easy to arrange such kind of transactions with your own distinct person only. Therefore, they are saying that whatever this payment and everything is happening should not be between your own establishment only. If all of these 5 conditions are satisfied, then we say that it is export of service. We will discuss more about point number 5 when we move on to a chapter named as import under GST. For now, you simply understand supplier in India, a recipient out of India, place of supply outside India. I have received money in convertible forex, INR permitted in Vostro accounts or wherever RBI permits. And the supplier and recipient are not mere establishment of distinct person. If all the conditions are satisfied, then I will say export of service has happened. Export of goods is very simple. Taking goods to a place outside India from India is known as export of goods. Say yes or no, everyone. Chalo, bolo. Then we are left with only last 2 definitions and we officially complete all the important terms under GST. Bolo na. Yes, ma'am. Chalo. Now let us understand what is online gaming. Very simple. Any game that I am playing on internet over a network is online game. What is there to understand about it? Online gaming simply means offering of a game on the internet or electronic network, and it also includes online money gaming. Games can be with money, can be without money. So online gaming includes everything. Then we particularly understand what is online money gaming. But online gaming includes all the kinds of games that you play online, whether it involves money or not. But if I particularly have to understand what is online money gaming, because your particular GST applicability comes. So online money gaming means any kind of online game in which the player pays or deposits money, money's worth, or virtual digital asset. Why? Because he is in the expectation that he will win more money, money's worth, or virtual digital asset. Now you can call it as a game, scheme, competition, event, anything. Everything is game only for us. So we are saying you can call it as event, game, scheme, competition, activity, process, everything. Now it is possible that you might say that it is not luck based, it is skill based. Ma'am, playing rummy is not purely luck how you win money. You have to apply skills also there. Or there could be some game which is purely based on luck. So here we say like this Dream 11 and everything. Now Dream 11 you can say that ma'am, to select players and everything we need to apply brains. It is not purely based on luck. There is a skill involved. We say irrelevant. We say irrelevant. If it is a game of chance, it is a game of skill, it is a game of performance, it is a game of both, doesn't matter for us. That kind of event, activity, scheme, process, competition, everything is game only for us. Wherever you are paying some kind of a money's worth, virtual digital asset. Why? Because I am expecting to win more money, money's worth, or virtual digital asset. It could be permissible, it could not be permissible by the law. Everything is online money gaming only. Say yes or no. Are we required to learn this definition? No. In the entire chapter, the definitions that you are required to learn are goods, services, consideration, specified actionable claims, export of service, related person, and distinct person. That is all. Only these definitions you are required to learn by heart. Otherwise than that, all definitions are only for read once purpose and for understanding purpose. So these definitions you will learn. And I believe that we have learnt them in class itself only. So let us revise once. Distinct person, same PAN, separate registration. Related person, SOFA COPS. Export of service, supplier India. Recipient outside India. Place of supply outside India. Consideration received in the form of convertible forex or wherever INR permitted. INR permitted in case of Vostro. And supplier and recipient should not be mere establishment of distinct person. Specified actionable claim, lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, online money gaming and casino. Consideration, any kind of money or otherwise payment that is made by recipient or any other person on behalf of recipient is consideration. It does not include subsidy by central government, state government. The monetary value to do or to forbid an act is also a consideration, and any kind of deposit will be considered as payment or consideration only when it is applied for the goods or service. Very simple. Services means anything other than goods, money or security, but includes use of money to convert into one form currency denomination from another form currency denomination for which a separate consideration is payable. Facilitating transactions in security is also a service. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security, but includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass or anything that is attached to or forming part of land which is agreed to be severed before supply or under a contract of supply. Tell me, are you all also comfortable in speaking all the definitions like this without even seeing the handwritten notes? So online money gaming, again very simple. Simple, any kind of a game where the player is paying or depositing money, money is worth virtual digital asset. Why? Because he's expecting to win money, money is worth virtual digital asset in any kind of a game, scheme, competition, act, whatever. It can be skill based, it can be luck based, it can be both. It could be permissible, not permissible. Well, everything is online money gaming. Export of service to export of goods to take goods outside India. Distinct person, same PAN, separate registration. Establish one establishment of distinct person. One leg registration has to be there. Another leg, it could be anything. Right? So I believe yes, we have completed everything. Forbear means to not do, to restrict. Forbear means to not do or to restrict. Chalo. Dun dana dun dun, dil dil, agag, bomb bomb, everyone. So we end the session here, and from tomorrow we will start with section 7, scope of supply. From tomorrow we will start with section 7, scope of supply. Quickly tell me, we have understood everything and there's absolutely no doubt or no problem with respect to anything. Okay, chalo ma'am, then see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, take care and bye-bye everyone.